Hey there, YouTube. I've been getting a couple messages from some subscribers about the Long Ranger contest and the 350-yard shot that I posted. Super excited. It's been a great competition, and congratulations to everybody. But this one comment kind of triggered an idea for me to do another video. The comment was, "Great shot! Can't wait to take shots at white-tailed deer from across a cornfield." And so my assumption is that that person was assuming that I was going to be taking 100, 200, maybe even 300-yard shots at deer. That's definitely not the case, and and the purpose of this video is to show you why. Big bore air rifles, quite honestly, they share a lot of the same considerations when bow hunting or hunting with a crossbow. These projectiles are flying at subsonic speeds. And, you know, other than just foot-pounds of energy that's being transferred to the game, I think a lot of times we get really hung up on feet per second and how fast the bullet's going and how much power that's delivering to a piece of ballistics gel. You know, I think that's really an important consideration. But then also, how far should you really be taking these shots? And so in today's video, we're going to be covering some of those considerations and the reason why I won't be taking shots very, very far. Up here in Michigan, quite honestly, I've never shot a deer or even shot at a deer over 50 yards. I really don't have to. A lot of the hunting we do are in the swamps and the thick woods. I mean, there are guys that hunt in the open fields, but you know, they're using powder burners and up here in northern Michigan. And yeah, so I've since moved away from that. I'm an air rifle guy. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these reasons why I would not take that shot. So the first reason is more or less the most obvious one. The reason why I would not be taking a shot at large game over 100 yards is consistency of accuracy. Here's the scope cam from the 350-yard shot that I took at the Long Ranger AirGun Depot golf ball. And you can see in the scope cam here coming up, and when I start taking these shots, that the splash is basically ranged anywhere from right next to the ball to probably 24 inches or more away from it. So as we look at these shots, just imagine, you know, the silhouette of a deer and the vitals for that deer, and basically we would be seeing a completely missed shot or a severely wounded animal, which is definitely something we don't want to do to make sure we're hunting ethically. Okay, so I'm going to throw some math equations at you here to talk a little bit about the second reason, which is a little bit more of a deeper reason why I would not take a shot beyond 100 yards at large game. But before I get into that, the number that I want you to remember is 0.10, or 1/10 of a second. The reason why that number is important is that that's the reaction time of a large game mammal, typically prey animals like deer and elk. Larger animals like that have the ability to react very quickly to sudden sounds when they see something that's out of the ordinary in the wild. They're very quick to react. And so as compared to a human, we still have a pretty decent reaction time, typically 0.15 to 0.17 seconds, depending on the stimulus of the reaction. So using that 1/10 of a second equation, we should really look at the feet per second of the projectile that we're shooting. And you hear a lot about this in the archery world with crossbows and archers and bow hunters. You'll hear the term jumping the string. And what that is deer basically hearing the sound of the bow firing and basically ducking out of the way of the arrow. So in air rifles and big bore air gun hunting, we need to consider that same concept. Though our feet per second is pretty much triple that of a archery bow hunter. Typically, archery is going to probably range from probably 275 to 375, depending on the bow or crossbow that they're using. So when you do the math on this, I'm just going to put up some equations here. Typically, if you look at just using the AirGun Depot Long Ranger contest range distances of 150, 175, 200, and then using my 350-yard shot as an example, you'll see that the deer, they're going to hear the gun going off with more than enough time to react. And so they're going to duck, dodge, flinch. And so at that range, I mean, you could be missing by feet, basically. I mean, that deer could literally have taken a complete step or two by the time, or have completely ducked by the time the round gets there. So this is the second and probably more scientific reason why I would not be taking shots over 150 yards. So all of these concepts that I've talked about up to this point are pretty much universal for all big bore air rifles. But for the context of the rifle that I own, the AirForce Texan 357, I wanted to take a look at some very specific data and information both the manufacturer has been putting out, and then also comparing that against different ammunition manufacturers and things that I've experienced in the rounds that I'm going to choose to use when I go hunting this year. So AirForce, it's an amazing, amazing rifle. If you haven't had a chance to shoot one, definitely, if you could get your hands on one or purchase one, it's a beautiful piece of equipment. The 357 by manufacturer spec says it can shoot up to 350 foot-pounds of energy. I haven't been able to get mine up that high. I've been able to get it above 300 a few times. But again, to get it to that 350 foot-pounds of energy, you'd probably need to be slinging out there a 275 grain Mr. Hollow Point, just enormous piece of lead for this gun. And it's probably going to be flying around 750-ish feet per second, super slow, super rainbow trajectory. For me, that's just too much of a lob shot for game that can react so quickly. So I've been leaning towards using the Aero Magnum 128s. The way my rifle is set up right now, that's pushing around 250, 260 foot-pounds. What I like about this is that the trajectory is much flatter. Basically, at a proper zero, at a 100-yard shot, my round is only going to drop maybe a couple inches, maybe 2.5 inches at 100 yards. Whereas it's like a 275 grain Mr. Hollow Point, I mean, that thing's going to drop like 9, possibly 10 inches at 100 yards. So think about shooting at a deer. That's just outside the margin of comfortable shots for me if I want to take a shot up to 100 yards. If I knew my shot was only going to be 20 to maybe 50 yards, I would maybe use that round like in a deep swamp situation. But anyway, so that's the round that I'm leaning towards for this year, and just to kind of show you some graphs, and here's the reason why.